Hello everyone and welcome to the StarCityGames.com sideboard for the Atlanta Invitational. I'm here with Cedric Phillips.
That's me.
Notice he's got his Stream Team t-shirt. How's the Stream Team going?
Can't complain. We are here in attendance, Michael, Jacob, and I. So all two of us are here, hopefully looking to dominate another tournament after Grand Prix Boston was a smashing success. So hopefully this one will be too.
Awesome. Well, we're going to be trying to start off domination with Legacy and Goblins.
Indeed.
You're no stranger to the little green men of red colors. So you're playing a pretty unique take on the archetype this time around. We've got the familiar players.
Yes.
Lackey, Matron, Ringleader, Incinerator, Vile, Sting Scourger, Tuk Scrapper, Siege Gang, and Krenko. I think I covered like the cards that just make the list every time.
Just about every time now, yeah.
So let's talk about the ones that didn't.
All right, the ones that are going to make some people upset at home, probably. All right, which one do you want to start with? You choose.
All right, well, let's start with Squire himself.
All right, I'm looking for Squire. Where is he?
No,
he's
Squires.
Not there.
We've got one Goblin Pile Driver over here on the sideboard.
Just
on
the sideboard, yeah. So here's the thing about Goblin Pile Driver. Against the best decks in the format, it's very bad. Against Rug Delver, it's not good. Against Maverick, it's outclassed very quickly and just can be traded with or chumped however they want, or swords, however they want to deal with it. Against like the Miracle deck, they just swords it or do whatever they want. They're pretty good against creature decks. And then like it's good against combo, but like you're pretty bad against combo anyway because you're goblins. So where exactly do you want this card? Like Merfolk, which is a deck like you can beat without Pile Driver. So there isn't really anywhere where you specifically want the card. I was playing one in the main deck for a little while and a couple on the sideboard. And I just realized that that's not really the 2-drop that's going to get the job done against a lot of decks if you hit them with it.
So what is the 2-drop that's getting the job done?
That's going to be Warren Instigator, a card that has not seen a lot of play up until last week in LA, where I was doing coverage. Eric Brown made top 8 of the tournament with Goblins playing for Warren Instigator. And I was like a little surprised by that, and I was testing on the stream, and I was like, I might as well give it a shot, see if his deck list is good. And while I didn't love everything about his deck list, that was one card that really stood out and impressed me.
Sure.
So I decided to play some of those, see how it worked, and if you hit them with it at any point, they're just dead. It's like immediately over if you have anything in your hand, a Ringleader,
sure.
A Matron, Krenko, Siege Gang. Like if you ever get the opportunity to hit them with it, it's definitely over. Like it's like hitting with Lackey, but like on steroids.
Yeah.
So.
The real solid interaction is obviously like with a Matron, where like the first strike damage goes through, you put in the Matron, and then you can grab like a Ringleader or something before the actual damage.
And then you just start going crazy. It's awesome.
So we also cut a 3-drop from our deck.
We have Goblin War Chief, a normal standby guy. I know, take a deep breath. He's normally always there, giving the Goblins haste and reducing their cost. Thing is reducing their cost isn't as good as it used to be because of Cavern. So like reducing their cost is nice, of course, so you can play multiples in a turn, but Cavern kind of gets them through now anyway. So giving +1/+1 is actually a huge game, especially with Instigator by making it a 2/2 double striker. Like it actually is just really good. It's able to trade on the kill. It can trade with a 4 toughness guy. It'll fight better. If it just gets through, it's going to deal 4 damage, and if you have multiples, things actually just start spiraling out of control. Also, for any Maniacs who are playing Engineered Plague, like, you're pretty good against it now.
Oh.
So, and then there's some cool interactions that you can do, like with Aether Vial and Chieftain. Like, if they Fire Ice your Goblin or something, you can Vial it in, give your guy +1/+1. Some small things that don't come up a ton, but, it can happen. So, It's been, haste is, of course, the most important part, but +1/+1 and getting the opponent dead is more important than reducing the cost of the Goblins now.
I imagine it improves your game against Stoneforge Mystic a little more than the War Chief does.
Yes, yeah. Like it because of +1/+1, you don't have to against a Miracle deck or Stoneforge, you don't have to commit as many threats now. Like into a Terminus or something, you can commit like two or three threats, get Terminus, and then like restart again, and you've already dealt them a significant amount of damage. Where like rebuilding isn't that big of a deal.
Plus post Terminus, the +1/+1 gives you a little more value as well.
Yeah. It's been surprisingly good. I was on a 3 War Chief, 1 Chieftain split for a little while, seeing if I ever wanted to Matron for Chieftain. And I didn't want to Matron it for it very much, but when I drew it naturally and cast it, I was just like, wow, this is like pretty good. And then like when you draw 2, it's just like very good, but they're just dying very fast. So.
Excellent. You went with the Black Splash, as we can see here with Warren Weirding. Do you think black is just the way to be? Like you don't want to be mono red?
So the thing about Warren Weirding is that there's a lot of like relevant creatures that you have the opportunity to kill with it. Not to mention that it's tutorable with Goblin Matron, of course, and hits with Goblin Ringleader. But against Maverick, you're able to kill, the large creatures like Neither Reliquary and Scavenging Ooze, but even the small utility creatures against them, like Noble Hierarch, Jeez, what's the other one I'm thinking? Mother of Runes. Like, those are nice cards to be able to kill. Against Rug Delver, all 3 of their threats, Tarmogoyf, Delver of Secrets, and Nimble Mongoose are all very good cards to kill with Warren Weirding. Like, there's just a lot of interaction with the deck. And then when you're playing in Show and Tell, like, if they're just on, like, Show and Tell Emrakul into play, you can just kill it, and it's not, like, a big deal. So there are, like, a lot of positive things going on with that card, not to mention it kills Stoneforge Mystic or the Batterskull token. So there are a lot of positives to it.
Excellent. One of the concessions you've had to make for Cavern of Souls, and I assume maybe possibly because of the addition of black mana, is going down to 2 Rishadon ports along with 4 Wasteland.
Now that one pains me. So the thing about, like, I came to terms with cutting, you know, War Chief, Pile Driver, some of the standbys that are normally in the deck, but cutting Rishadon port is pretty tough for me. I like having 8 mana denial resources in the deck in Wasteland in port, especially when you're hiding behind an Aether Vial. Yeah. Being able to mess with their mana like that is, like, really, really good. Also being able to tap man lands. There are a lot of interactions with port that I really, really like. So cutting back to 2 of those does hurt a little bit, but again, you have to make a concession somewhere, like especially when you're playing Instigator. It's not just a free roll to be able to just play 4 ports, 4 Wastelands, and like 4 Caverns, because then you'll get yourself in situations where you can't actually cycle Gem Palm Incinerator or like cast Tarfire or whatever, and then you're just like, ugh, this is awful. I can't do anything. So like Wasteland's better than port. Port's really good, but I had to make a concession somewhere, so I cut down to 2 port. I want to play a 3rd one, but MJ won't let me, so I'm playing 2.
Well, thanks, MJ.
Yeah.
Let's move over to the sideboard. We've obviously got a little bit of the black cards here with Perish.
Yes.
I assume you board that in against green decks.
You're smart, which is why we have you, which is why we like you. Perish is like the best card possible against Maverick. Like, their white creatures are good, but they don't matter that much, and their green creatures are obviously much better than their white creatures. Neither the Reliquary, Scavenging Ooze, Noble Hierarch, to a lesser extent Dryad Arbor. Like, all of their green cards are super good. They're the big creatures that actually kill you. Perish takes care of them flat, like no questions asked. Does an incredibly nice job of it. What I found in the Maverick matchup is just drawing a Perish leads to a win. So that's why I have 3. 4 is a little much. It's also pretty good against Rug Delver. Kills Tarmogoyf, kills Nimble Mongoose, and if they have a Scavenging Ooze as well, it's good there, and you have a lot of answers to Delver. So I feel like that card alone is worth splashing black in. And like you've seen it in like past decks, Tamahiro Saito playing Merfolk was splashing black like just for Perish and like a couple other cards. So love it.
Definitely a swinger in the matchup. A black card that's not really a black card for you here is Leyline of the Void.
Yes.
I assume you're bringing that in against graveyard combo decks.
Again.
God, spot on.
I've
never played this deck.
You deserve a raise, at least, with this kind of analysis. So with Leyline, when you're mulliganing to a card to beat Dredge, you know, you have the options between Relic Progenitors, Grafdigger's Cage, Tornad's Crypt, what have you.
Sure.
But if you're going to mulligan for a card, you know, you're going to put yourself in a situation where you might mulligan to 5, 4, what have you. Leyline's the best card. So, yes, they can have answers to it in Chain of Vapor, Nature's Claim, you know, whatever. But if your goal and your intention is to mulligan to a card that can beat Dredge, this is the best one. So, just mulligan to that. So that's exactly what I'm doing.
Just basically, if your strategy is present like a single hoop, you want it to be the tiniest possible one, right?
That's correct.
Make it hard to jump.
Yes.
All right. We've also got 4 Rebs, which obviously you can bring those in against Merfolk along with the Pile Drivers, but I have a feeling they have other applications as well.
Show and Tell's the big one. I expect a healthy amount of that deck this weekend. I don't love fighting Show and Tell with Red Elemental Blast, but I feel like you have to have something to be able to beat that deck, especially when I don't have as many mana disruption elements as I used to have with 4 ports and 4 wastelands. I feel like you just can't like hope to dodge a Show and Tell deck. I feel like you're going to play against one in the tournament. Reb isn't the best way of fighting it, but I feel like it gives me an opportunity where if I do draw one, it's going to give me like a realistic shot to win. There are other applications, Hive Mind matchup, High Tide, that sort of stuff. So it does help a little bit. Jace decks potentially, and as you said, Merfolk. But I kind of want something against that deck, against those type of decks. So that's why it's there.
Okay, and the last card you're running on the sideboard is Pyrokinesis.
Yeah, Mirror, pretty much. There are some other decks that it's reasonable against. It's pretty good against like the Death Shadow deck at killing Delver Secrets, Dark Confidant,
sure.
That sort of thing. It's kind of like a holdover from like previous Goblin decks. You normally find 2 to 3 Pyrokinesis in the deck list. I'm okay with running them. You know, I don't really know if I'm going to expect a lot of the Mirror, but in the Mirror match, it's a pretty important card to have.
Sure.
Like, obviously it's going to kill 2 to 3 Goblins, depending on the number of Chieftains they have in their deck list, but I think it's just important enough that you just want to have it so you don't lose to like getting hit by a Lackey or what have you. So I have a couple in there. I've sent some other people to tournaments without it, and then they came back to me immediately, and like out of everything in the deck list, they're like, I needed Pyrokinesis, and I'm like, all right, I'll play them now.
Convincing arguments.
Yeah, they were pretty mad they didn't have them, so I'm going to play some.
One of the nice things about Goblins is that it's actually one of the creature decks with a lot more card advantage than most, so you can afford to pitch that red card. You've got the Ringleaders and Incinerators just always boosting your hand size.
Definitely some cards that you can afford to discard to be able to light them up with that, so that's actually very nice.
So one of the cards that I'm interested, I guess, in seeing that you're not running, is a card I actually like the idea of. Again, I haven't played Goblins. Is Cabal Therapy as a sideboard option, mostly for like the Stone Fortune combo matchup. So did you try out Cabal Therapy, or do you have pros and cons for us on that one?
Pros and cons, definitely. I've been playing Goblins for a really long time. I used to play Cabal Therapy in it quite a bit. Basically, what happened is with the combo decks in the format, Belcher, Storm, what have you, their pieces are very redundant. So when you're therapying them, like, you might name like one card, and then they'll have a copy of another card that does like basically the same thing, and then you're missing. And like, it just doesn't accomplish what you want it to. Like, if you have Mogg War Marsh in your deck, I think the therapy is reasonable. But when you're playing against a deck like Storm and you therapy them, like, I don't really know what you're going to name. Like, you can name Infernal Tutor, you can name Lion's Eye Diamond. There's like a range of cards that you want to name, and like, even if you hit, they can still go off. Like, if you name like Dark Ritual, they can have just like multiple Cabal rituals or something, and then you're just like, ugh, like, I missed, and it wouldn't have mattered a ton if I hit. The same thing against like a deck like Belcher, where like you can name like one of their rituals, but their entire deck is rituals. You can name Belcher, and then they have Empty the Warrens, or vice versa.
Sure.
It's just awkward to like try to do that. And then like, if you try to board it in against like these Stoneforge decks, like, they have Brainstorm, so they can hide the card, and like, even if you do hit again, like, their cards are redundant enough that it just doesn't have a large enough effect.
Okay, good to know. So you're already saddled in. We've got Goblins here. What's the deck you're hoping to dodge all day today? We're going to jinx you right now. Just get it out of the way.
Which means I'm going to get paired against it every round. Tomohiro Saito's Hypergenesis deck, I think, the one that's kind of picking up steam a little bit. A lot of talk of it being played. I don't know if people are actually going to jump on board and play it, or if they were able to find the depletion lands to actually play it. I think that's kind of a barrier to entry as well. As funny it is to say, if they can find a common, it's just like...
Those masked commons, man.
Yeah, you just really can't find them. Like, I don't think I want to play against that deck. I'm a little scared of Show and Tell too, but I played against it in the room last night.
Sure.
And I was beating it like more than I was losing to it, so I was pretty happy there. Like, I want to play against the big three decks, which are Miracles or some sort of Tundra control deck. I want to play against Rug, and I want to play against Maverick. And that's what people play in the US. Like, European is more combo heavy, so I wouldn't play this deck in like a European tournament. But here, and looking at the Star City Circuit results, those are the decks that people play, and that's what I want to play against.
All right, well, you've got a tournament coming up soon. I'm going to go ahead and let you get to it.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for joining us.
I'm on the other side this weekend. It feels good.
You'll be seeing Cedric on video, I'm sure, at some point this weekend. So
if you don't, it's going bad.
Oh,
yeah.